All right, final video. Thanks for hanging in there. This last one is unique because we're not used to dealing with radians on a coordinate plane, like an XY axis. We're just used to counting up by ones. But all it is moving the graph right and left. So it's not terrible. So this is called a phase shift, which is just a fancy word for a horizontal shift, which means left and right. So final time for the day. Hopefully you have it memorized by now. But in the standard form, which is, notice standard. We'll do non-standard when I come back on Friday. Standard form is y equals a times sine b in parentheses x plus or minus c plus or minus d. We've done amplitude, we've done period, we've done vertical shift, and now for our final one, letter C. C represents a horizontal shift, and it moves the graph left or right. Now here's the important piece. On these little graphs that we're doing, and when you graph by hand on the test, the y-axis counts up by ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But the x-axis counts up by pi over 2. So then every two tick marks is 1 pi. So then 4 tick marks is 2 pi, and then 2 more we got 3, 2 more we got 4. Here's why that's important. Because look at what my horizontal shift looks like. This shift actually is saying, since it's minus pi over 2, you would think it means left, but remember with horizontal shifts it always goes the other way. So this is actually a shift to the right, pi over 2, which is technically just 1 tick mark to the right. Okay? So again, here's how I've taught students now to graph it for years, and it seemed to work out for them. Ignore C and D the first time you graph. All you graph is the first portion. That includes the A and the B. So for this graph, it's just a regular sine graph. So this will be easy because a regular sine graph starts at 0, ends at 0, and since there's no B value, then we know that the period is 2 pi, because look, there's a 1 here, an imaginary 1. So the period is 2 pi divided by B, which is 1. So the period is just 2 pi. It's a normal graph. So we start at 0, we end at 0 on 2 pi, and we have the middle. And then there's also no amplitude. So this is what it would look like. But we haven't taken into account our shift to the right 1 unit. So now, once you've graphed this, you can just move all of your coordinates 1 spot to the right. So this first one will go here, the second one will go here, the third one here, the fourth one will be down here, and the next one will be here. And we can actually erase our first graph, and we have the exact same graph. Just look, it's shifted 1 unit to the right. That's called a phase shift. Watch that part again if you need to see it a little slower. Let me try another example. Cosine. There's no number here. There's no number here. Okay, there's no A or there's no B. So I'm just going to graph an original cosine. Starts at 1. Let me count. Here's pi. Here's 2 pi. It ends at 1. It drops to -1. And then it makes the V. Remember our 5 points. So there's our 5 points. However, it's shifted left 3 pi over 2, which is basically 3 units left. Okay, so I'm going to take these points and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'll use a different color so you can see it. I'll go 1, 2, 3, move that one there. Then 1, 2, 3, move this one here. 1, 2, 3 there. 1, 2, 3 there. 1, 2, 3 there. So notice my original was in blue. We're erasing that, and we're actually graphing this. That is a cosine graph shifted 3 units to the left. A phase shift. Okay? Now let's put it all together. Take a look at this guy. Alright, you've graduated up to doing it all at once. So, in summary, let's use black. Y equals A sine B parenthesis x plus or minus C plus or minus D. A is your amplitude, which is a vertical stretch. B helps determine your period, which is a horizontal stretch. Notice not shift, but stretch. Then we have letter C, which is your horizontal shift. And then we've got letter D, which is your vertical shift. Most important piece of the lesson is right here, example number 3, and then I'll let you finish with example number 4, okay? When you graph these, graph this portion only. And then once you've graphed that portion, you can just move your 5 points this many to the right and this many up. You with me? Don't try to do it all at once. It's so hard to like start a graph over there. You always want to start right at in your first coordinate on the axis, and then you can shift. So here's what I'm going to do. The amplitude is 3. The period is going to be 2 pi divided by b, so the period is pi. My c is going to be 2 pi to the right, and then my d is up 1. So use A, B, C, and D to kind of give you that guidance. And then here we go. I'm just going to graph the first portion. It's a cosine graph with a period of pi. So here's pi. Remember, we start at 0. There's pi. There's 2 pi. I'm going to put my dotted line there because I'm not going to go past it because my period is shorter. There's a 3 as my amplitude, so I'm going to start at 3 with cosine. Finish at 3, drop down to -3, and then create the V. So this would be my graph if there were no shifts. Not bad, right? But there are shifts. We have to do, I'll switch to blue. We have to shift it this many to the right and this many up. So I am going to, I'll use blue. This is 3 pi, this is 4 pi. So each dot is going to move 2 pi units to the right. That's technically 4 ticks because each tick is 1 pi. So I'm going to take this top one right here. I'll label this point number 1. This is point 2, point 3, point 4, and point 5. And I'm going to move them 4 to the right and then 1 up to get my shifts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 up. I'll move to point 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 up. Move to point 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 up. Point 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 up. Whoops. 1 up. And then point 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 up. And there is my new graph. I can erase all this because that was just to help me graph. And voila. We just graphed 3 cosine 2 times x minus 2 pi plus 1. I encourage you to watch this video again and then try this one. Amplitude. This helps you find the period. This helps you move left and right. This helps you move up or down. Pause the video right now and solve this. And then you can come back and check with me. Okay? My period is 2 pi divided by b. b is 2/3. Dividing by 2/3 is actually the same thing as multiplying by 3/2. So 2 times 3 is 6 pi over 2, which is exactly 3 pi. So here's my period. So I'm going to go over 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. That's going to be my period. My amplitude is -2 and it's a cosine graph. Cosine usually starts up high, but since it's negative, it's going to start down low at 2 and then finish down low at 2, and then in the very middle go up to +2. And in this time, it's going to make the negative V because, oh, it's actually going to be right in the middle. It's going to make the negative V because it's negative cosine. But now my shifts are plus pi, which is actually left pi units, which is 2 units. And then it's shifted down 2. So I'm going to take red, and I'm going to shift each blue dot, left 2 and down 2, and we'll be done. Left 2, down 2, boom. Left 2, down 2, boom. 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 And boom. Erase my old points. And there we have the negative cosine graph. Okay? Look on the modules now for your worksheet where you get to practice using all of these. Okay? Work together in groups on this, help each other, rewatch the videos on your own. These are good resources. If you didn't get it the first time, neither did I. So I'd go watch them again. You guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you on Friday.